No, that's true.
Is that my steps on the not the balance seems to go completely.
So first of all, what is your eye condition?
My eye condition is macular degeneration, which afflicts so many of the aging population in this country. I've got macular degeneration in my right eye, and my left eye was a bit duff since a child. So most of my career, such as it is, was actually done on my right eye. And the lovely surgeon at the Brighton Eye Hospital said, "You know, you're the most unluckiest bloke I've seen this week. Had you developed macular degeneration in that duff eye, you'd still be driving, still be painting," and that was a sort of challenge for a start. But anyway, I've got macular degeneration. I have some sight. I can see all the things I need to see in outline, and I make the rest up.
And do you remember when you first realised that there was something wrong?
I knew something was wrong because I started to do a bit of reading of the paper, and I thought, I really must get these glasses changed. The next day, I nipped into Specsavers, God bless them, and there was a lovely Irish guy there who said, Mr. Lawson, I don't like the look of your eyes. And I said, well, frankly, no, I don't like yours much. He said, I'm going to send you to a doctor's tonight. I thought, tonight? Anyway, cut a long story short, I was like a rugby ball handed over to my doctor, who handed me over to Eastbourne opticians and the clever people there, and I had some bleeding behind the eyes. I won't go into the details because it's a bit gory, and all those who do suffer from eye problems will know the routine. But macular degeneration was on its way, and luckily I was near the end of my teaching career, and so the pressure to look at fine detail was gradually getting less. But for me, it happened when I was, about 63. So there was a sudden feeling that I wasn't going to be able to be so universally helpful, if that's the right word. I'd lost, or I was going to lose, my independence. That's something I've had to learn to do. Maybe that was the right thing to do. But for me, that I think was the worst thing. Having to use either a device or the services of other people to perform everyday functions.
And how is it that you first came to hear of ESAB?
As I just said, I used to love painting, or having a go at painting and drawing. Me and Leonardo were like that. And at my local art club, I was sitting next to a guy. He said, how many pairs of specs are you going to try this week? Because I was trying all sorts of magnifying devices to carry on painting. And I said, well, I can just about see. Funnily enough, colours weren't a problem. Detail was. So he said, have you met Maggie? And I said, no. Who's Maggie? Well, she's my next door neighbour. I'll put her in touch with you. Now, this was Maggie Grenier, who a week or so later came up, and I think from that point she introduced me not only to the services of ESAB, but what the whole existence of visual impairment can do, what an official blind group can do for you. And this was 10 years ago, approximately. No, 12 years ago. And it's been an interesting journey ever since. It's allowed me too to help other people for a little bit, but I've met some really amazing people.
How did you come to be a trustee for ESAB?
The job of a trustee came a little bit later, and it was by invitation. I was first involved with ESAB as part of the user group. These were people from right across East Sussex who brought problems that needed looking at and so on. And of course, transport had been a particular interest, not being able to drive. How could I become interconnected with the bus service, the train service, and so on? I really didn't know quite what a trustee did, or whether you had to be fabulously rich and walk about doling out cash all the time. But it's neither. You sit with a team of other people and give guidance to how the organisation is being shaped. Part of my experience was helping to run the engineering department at a local college, and I found that very useful, working with a group of people, sharing ideas, using some management technology, but practical common sense, and really working off other people. There's 7 of us, and we now have 4 people, which is almost half the commitment of trustees who are themselves visually impaired. Not just me, but we have 3 others who have come on board in the last 5 years, who are learning or who make terrific contributions, things we haven't thought of. There is one person who is a superb, detailed giver, a person who understands structure very well. There's 2 younger members who are visually impaired, and they're going to raise the flag and carry it on long after we have put our feet up and so on. A lot of people don't know how to help, how to jump into the swimming pool. The glib answer is just try. Just do anything that you feel you can do. Most of our members come from a various background of people, various experiences, but shyness is very prevalent. Most people would just like to sit down with a cup of tea, but in fact they've run big families, some have run companies, and if you can gradually winkle out that experience and say, you could come and help me do this. Oh no, I could. Yes, you can.
Yeah. And now being on the other side of your vision impairment and having been through it, how would you say that it has changed you as a person?
I think it's broadened me as an individual, because whilst at one time I was fairly polite to people, now I sit down and have a chat to them and try to indicate that there is a better way. A lot of people want to go into their shells, I think, when the bad news hits them, and the poor me syndrome comes out, and we won't have any of that. There's so much that people can do if they're just helped out a bit. And looking at it, as it were, from the other side, you can see the nervousness at first, and then the sheer joy of being able to, it can be as simple as looking through a correctly specified magnifying glass, or listening to their favourite story in another form, or being able to help out at a tea party somewhere, or hearing the same old joke many, many times. There's a family effect with ESAB, and that's the thing I've seen in the last 10 years.